internationally. In 1976, on the 5th of January 1976, due to massive misunderstanding between Catholics and Protestants in Ireland, the outbreak of the Irish Church War began. This is not Muslim Christian matter. This is church and church. Outbreak of the Irish Church War, which resulted in massive casualties on both sides. We'll also talk about that. We're going to be opening our lines earlier so you can make your contributions. The number to call is 080-6464-1536. That is the number to call, 080-6464-1536. Yes, you can talk about any issues that you want to subject to analysis. It mustn't be what we are talking about now. That's the beauty of the program. And on this very show, we learn from each other. You can learn from us, and we can also learn from you. And as I will always say, we always recommend books for you to study. And I always say this: as parents, try to encourage your children to study. And I will always tell you, if you want to understand the Nigerian story, you must study Nigeria. If you want to understand the Nigerian story, you must study Nigeria. I will always tell you that. Because the day you stop reading, that's the day you start getting into trouble. So please, parents, encourage your children to read. It doesn't matter, so long as the child can read. Even if he's 5 years old, even if she's 5 years old, encourage the kid to read, because it helps the development of that child. As far as I'm concerned, it's criminal if we don't allow our children to know our past. So the number to call again, 080-6464-1536. That's the number to call. Okay, we've lost that. We've lost that. You can still call 080-6464-1536. That's the number to call to make a contribution on the show today. Last week we talked about the Abure Accord, so we are going to talk about it extensively today. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from? Hello, good morning.
Hello, can you hear me? Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. I can hear you, but it's faint. Maybe you could speak up.
Hello. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Please speak up. Hello? Please, if you call the number, try to be audible so that we can hear ourselves. The number to call is 080-6464-1536. That's the number to call. Hello, good morning. Okay, we've lost that. The number again. Hello, good morning.
Hello, Mr. Ferdinand.
Yeah, Aliu Garba from Otonkon Road.
Yes, nice to hear from you this morning.
Nice to hear from you too.
Your discussion this morning.
Yeah.
What interests me in the whole conversation is the Abure Accord. The
Okay.
Abure Accord is one most important event that has happened in the history of this country. That is coming on the heels of, I think, at the aftermath of the the Nigerian Civil War, where these two figures met in Ghana, in Aburi, with the president of Ghana. Gowon was standing by the right side, and then Ojukwu was on the left. I think they brought a saucer, a plate of food. That these two leaders were eating and sharing from the same
plate.
Place. You see, it's a sign of trying to promote national unity after the Nigerian Civil War. Then another thing most Nigerians should put at the back of their mind that has happened based on history is the creation of what they call it, NYSC, the National Youth Service Corps. It's one of the preconditions for national unity. That's why people from the northern extraction will be deployed to the southeastern, western part of the country. Then people from the northwestern, north central part of the country will also be deployed to other, sections of the country, so that you get acclimatized, you get
Yeah, thank you very much.
Mr. President, another thing. Hello.
Hello, yeah, we can
Sorry,
hear
Mr.
you.
President, I wanted to ask you a fundamental and critical question. Please, what do you make of the creation of 12 states after the Nigerian Civil War? Can we see it as also an adverse effect? That is the one of the apart from the limited countries we raised and we mentioned on this platform. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe when we get analysts on the show, we'll talk about some of these issues. Now, before we go to the break, let's look at events of the 5th and 6th of January, starting from home. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
Good morning, my brother.
Yeah, good morning.
This is Ferdinand calling from Kuru.
Okay, you're welcome to the show. A contribution.
I want to talk about the education of the government today.
The what?
We are not saying the
You say what?
defection of the governor from the PDP.
That's what we're talking about. Please, that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about current political issues. If you're talking about a past issue and you're linking up to what's happening currently, fine. We're not talking about current issues. On the 5th and 6th of January 2012, a series of assaults on businesses occurred in northeastern Nigeria, followed by attacks on police stations and government offices in the north on 20th January 2012. Over 180 people were killed. Boko Haram, a militant group based in Borno State at the time, whose goal was to institute Sharia law on all Nigeria, became more proficient at the time and carried out attacks which began in 2009 clash with security forces that led to the death of its leader, Ustaz Mohammed Yusuf. Since then, it has either claimed or been blamed for numerous attacks on Nigerian government and civilian targets. Most attacks have been in the predominantly Muslim north of Nigeria, though the group's name has been called out in other bombings, such as the attacks against the United Nations headquarters and the main police building in the capital city of Abuja. The group itself has since factionalized with some allied to Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, and some expecting terms of agreement similar to southern Nigeria's MEND. On 25th December 2011, Boko Haram also bombed a church in Abuja and attacked other Christian targets in northern Nigeria. Boko Haram had previously given all Christians 3 days to leave Yobe State and Borno following the Christmas Day bombings across northern Nigeria. The president of Nigeria at the time, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, had declared a state of emergency in several towns of those states. On 5th January 2012, militants armed with automatic weapons had stormed the town hall in the city of Mubi in Adamawa State, where people had gathered to mourn 3 Christians shot on the previous evening. At least 18 people were confirmed killed by a Nigeria Red Cross official, and a separate ambush of Christians leaving a church service in the state capital of Yola left at least 8 people dead. Most of the victims were ethnic Igbos. Later in the day, a spokesman for Boko Haram, calling himself Abu Kaga, claimed responsibility for those 2 incidents and the shooting during a church service in Gombe that killed 6 people on a Thursday. A Christian couple were also gunned down in Maiduguri, considered to be the stronghold of the radical group. Police in Yobe State later told the press they were engaged in street battles with members of Boko Haram. Hundreds of Christians started fleeing northern cities in the aftermath of the bombings, and church officials urged people not to take part in revenge attacks. On 20th January of 2012, after Friday prayers, a group of gunmen in police uniforms entered 5 police buildings and freed all of the inmates. They proceeded to bomb the buildings, as well as 2 immigration offices and the local office of the State Security Service in Kano. They later drove around the city in cars and motorcycles, shooting pedestrians and battling with police. Amongst the dead was television reporter Eneche Akogu, shot while covering the aftermath of the terrorist attacks. Boko Haram dropped letters written in Hausa at the site of the attacks, announcing that they were protesting the continued detention of Boko Haram members. They also directly contacted the press to claim responsibility for the attacks. Officials in the city responded by setting a curfew and by initiating armed patrols of major streets, though sporadic gunfire was still heard the next day. The Kano state government ordered all hospitals in the area to treat victims free of charge. African Union Chairman Jean Ping condemned the attacks and said that the Union rejects terrorism in all its forms. And United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon condemned the attacks as well. On 23rd January, the government announced the death toll had risen to 185, 150 of whom were civilians, and at least 32 police officers, including 3 members of the secret police. Local security forces announced they had found 10 unexploded car bombs and almost 300 smaller homemade bombs around the city. The Emir of Kano at the time, Ado Bayero, and Governor Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso then led a prayer for the victims of the attacks. According to the website 247reports.com, a Boko Haram spokesman indicated that the main reason for the attacks were carried out, the main reasons why the attacks were carried out was due to failure by the government to pay protection money. Oh my God. The main reason why the attacks were carried out was due to failure of government to pay protection money to terrorists, to street urchins. As in government to pay protection. I don't understand. Government to pay protection money to bandits and street urchins. That was the main reasons why the attacks were carried out. Because government did not pay them protection money. Government have to pay them protection money so they'll protect the city. Can you imagine that? It really got that bad. Yeah, but we do hope that we are having some form of responsibilities now. We do hope that government's efforts will pay off handsomely and this issue of banditry and terrorism will stop once and for all. Even if it doesn't stop ultimately, but at least will reduce to the lowest minimum. We do hope that. Yeah, if you want to read more about these sporadic attacks here and there, between 2009 when Mohammed Yusuf, the leader of Boko Haram, was killed to now, you can get the stories from various Nigerian newspapers. If you don't have hard copies of newspapers, you can go online and get Nigeria's major newspapers online and read about these stories so that you'll be abreast on issues happening within the country. Sometimes social media sometimes might be very responsible, but I will recommend that you read newspapers rather than getting social media stories and believing them. It doesn't work that way. Yeah. But for us, it works positively. You can go on our social media platforms and get cogent stories. As I always tell you, if you want to follow what we are doing here, follow issues in perspective, and go on Ferdinand Mbum. That is my Facebook page. Yes, a verified Facebook page. You can go there, you get videos live and some of our stories, or even this day in history. We do post on this day in history on my personal page. So you could go there, like, comment, and share. Then on YouTube, Mbum Ferdinand on YouTube. You can get all our live videos there. Like right now, we are live on YouTube, so you can follow us there, make your comments as well. Let's take this. Okay, we've lost that. The number to call is 080-6464-1536. If you want to call to make your contributions. Then also locally, now let's look at the Aburi Accord. Yes, on the 4th of January 1967, Lieutenant Colonels Yakubu Gowon and Odumegwu Ojukwu met in Ghana in a bid to solve Nigeria's explosive ethnic and political tensions in what is today known as the Aburi Accord. Ghanaian military leader Lieutenant General Joseph Ato Ankara hosted aggrieved Nigerian leaders in a bid to solve Nigeria's lingering military, political, and civil crisis, which was gradually at the time disintegrating the Nigerian nation owing to a series of civil, ethnic, and military crises that engulfed the nation the year before. In what is today known as the Aburi Accord, An agreement was reached at the meeting, which was attended by delegates of both the federal government of Nigeria and the government of Eastern Nigeria. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
Godwin from the Maganda.
Okay, Godwin, you're welcome to the show. Your contribution, please.
You make me laugh when you explain about, the excuse given by the terrorists for not being given a cover.
Yeah.
That's the reality of our country. It's not as if we don't know what is happening. It's not as if we cannot cope with things. But you see, when it comes to religion, it is the biggest bane of our nation. There are people that would rather protect their own than to, quote unquote, betray their own. All in the name of religion. And that is the problem that is affecting this country and has refused to be abated. But until we come as a country, this problem will linger. Until we tell ourselves the truth about what is really happening in this country, these problems will not be abated. Now, the Aburi Accord, I was made to understand that after the Accord, I don't know, maybe you will get to that point in the course of reading the Accord, that the Nigerian government actually did not keep to the strong side of the bargain as against the Biafran government then. And that was
then there was no Biafra yet. It was the government of Eastern Nigeria.
It was what was given birth to. It was a ploy, a way towards actualizing Biafra, Ferdinand. So if we are saying that there was no Biafra, what actually brought the war? What actually brought the discontentment between the East, and the Nigerian government there?
Yeah, that's what we are trying to study.
The accord was not kept, and that was what brought the civil war. Some of us were born in the heat of the civil war, and so our parents told us what it took. I'm a barrack boy, and my father told me what actually brought.
Yeah, we plenty with that too. Barrack Boys Association.
Yes, we need to form that association. As a matter of fact, in my own barracks, like the Wonka barracks in Bauchi, we have an association here in Jos. So, but what we are saying is this: there is need for this country and the people of this country to be telling each other the truth, even if it means making somebody to be angry in the righteous way.
Exactly.
Telling each other the truth, so that this country will be better for all of us. If we continue like this, we will not make any headway as a nation. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Godwin. Thanks a lot for your contribution. Yes, until the day we start telling ourselves the truth, we'll just continue deceiving ourselves. One sure thing that will make us work as a people, that let's consider ourselves as Nigerians first before any other thing. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
Hello, good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, this is John from Laranto.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, sir.
No problem. Yeah.
I'm talking on the issue of this Aburi Accord.
Okay, carry on.
Yeah, just like what the last speaker, he asked a question. And the question was, what leads to those to the profession? What the reason was, in fact, the coup that took place, which was labeled an Igbo coup. Since then, Nigerians, they don't get themselves. So those in the northeast was an Igbo coup. So they went ahead and see the only successful Igbo and Christian head of state. And that does not end. Today, that issue has been on ground. Today, the peace talk they went in Abuja was very welcome one. Perhaps the federal government and Concord and do their grade. Just like what the former head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, with due respect, he has been trying to defend the reason and the cause of the Nigerian Civil War. One of the reasons was that he said that they went to Abuja and they agreed that when they come back, that nobody to talk of the issue unless he being the head of state. But so when he came back, but unfortunately, that he said FIFA. And please, in election that imagine that we're warning that the president will say ordinary fever will stop him from saving 100 lives of millions lives of their citizens. Hundreds of lives of citizens. Because we are all football fans and we are seeing what a key player has an injury. They have an injury. There's an section, what they call key and stem killer, that will give that that will play for 90 minutes without feeling that pain. Then the president said that ordinary fever caused him not to make an announcement on the federal government stance on what they agreed in a court. And went ahead and told us that because the South Easterners were being killed in the north, that triggered Ojukwu anger. And of course, that was the reason why Ojukwu says no. And of course, let me ask this question. Why did the US government came to Nigeria? Is it not because there are some people who are helpless, who have been not been taken care of, who have not been protected? They say, no, let me come ahead. So no leader will fold their hands and see all citizens. They go somewhere and they put themselves and say no, and agree on that. It's not going anywhere. And in Ojukwu declaration, he said, in Abuja, I stand. Which means that thing we are doing as good is what I stand for. It's what I stand for. So this is another opportunity. So let's we can come together in a table discussion and tell ourselves the truth. Then move or find a suitable way forward or how Nigeria should go. We are not sitting around the bush. And Ojukwu says in one of his books, because I'm involved, people like us to know Ojukwu. He said the reason why Nigerians are the way we are is because we are afraid of telling ourselves the truth. But when that regime said, Nigeria will give the balance to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your contributions. Thanks a lot. Yes, I've read that book because I'm involved. Is it because I'm involved? Because I was involved. Well, I'll try. I'll get the book too, so that I'll make it as a recommendation for you to study. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
Once again. Yeah.
Okay, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Are you
Let me confess my
comrade? Are you Garba from Oton Road?
in history with one such an erudite scholar, in person of Karl Marx, the German philosopher of 1818, who has once made an assertion that religion is an opium of the masses. What brought this issue to bear is the issue of the Boko Haram, the ugly monster learning to catch since 2009. It is literally Boko Haram means Western formal education is forbidden. That is to the animate. Because these people have no nexus or connection with either Islam or Christianity. These are religious bloodthirsty fanatics with their own bigotry, in their own way. Okay, they brought some, the differences they brought, okay, government should be good. Okay, look at the section 14, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution. The primary responsibility of government is to protect lives and livelihoods, lives and property. Okay, how can criminal non-state actors, commercial criminals, be taking our ungovernable spirit, trying to form a parallel government and indoctrinating people, watching them, giving them giving them what do you call it, a connotation of religion. This has nothing to do with Islam. These are what do you call it? These are criminals who have seen insecurity as a multi-billion-dollar industry. They see it as a way of dishing out humongous and working up sums of money through these criminal activities. When you look at Muhammad Yusuf, he's somebody that read economics. Across the same water from formal education is propagating that is propagating idiots. Do you know the harm that thing has caused? part of the glorious Quran, which says in chapter 5 of verse 32, Surah Al-Ma'idah, here's what it says. The killing of one soul is like killing the entire mankind, and the saving of one soul is like saving the entire mankind. So all these things, whether they are justificable, they are unacceptable and condemnable. I think that is the little I can say about Boko Haram, which has no connection with Islam religion, as I know.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Aliyu Garba, for your contribution. That was a lovely contribution by Aliyu Garba. Yeah, so talking about the Aburi Accord, there's one last attempt to save Nigeria from plunging into crisis in 1967. The meeting was held on the 4th and 5th of January 1967. Yes, and as I was telling you earlier, the meeting was put together by Ghanaian head of state, Lieutenant General Joseph Ato Ankara, who hosted the aggrieved Nigerian leaders in a bid to solve Nigeria's political tension. In what is today known as the Aburi Accord, an agreement was reached at the meeting, which was attended by delegates of both the federal government of Nigeria, members of the Supreme Military Council, led by Lieutenant Colonel Yakubu Gowon, and the Eastern Nigerian government delegates, led by the Eastern Region's leader, Lieutenant Colonel Odumegwu Ojukwu, so to prevent further crisis for the time being. The meeting was billed to be the last chance of preventing an all-out war. It was held between 4th and 5th January 1967 in Ghana. The town Aburi was chosen as a venue because of the Eastern delegates led by the governor of Eastern Nigeria, Colonel Ojukwu, felt his safety and that of his men could not be guaranteed anywhere within the western or northern part of Nigeria. The agenda of the meeting were the reorganization of the Nigerian Armed Forces, constitutional arrangements, and the issues of displaced persons within the Nigerian nation. The following are the delegates at the Aburi Conference. Chairman of the Ghana National Liberation Council, Lieutenant General J.A. Ankara as chairman. Lieutenant Colonel Yakubu Gowon, Head of State of Nigeria. Lieutenant Colonel Odumegwu Ojukwu, Governor, Eastern Region of Nigeria. Major Mobolaji Johnson, Governor of Lagos State. Lieutenant Colonel Hassan Usman Katsina, Governor of Northern Region. Lieutenant Colonel David Ejo, Governor of Midwestern Region. Commodore Joseph Edet Akinwale Wee, Vice President of Nigeria. Colonel Robert Adebayo, Governor of Western Region. Alhaji Kamsalem, the Inspector General of Police. Mr. T. Omobari. Others are as follows: N. Atman, Secretary to the Military Governor of the East. Alhaji Ali Akilu, Secretary to the Military Governor of the North. Dr. Lawani, Under Secretary, Military Governor's Office, Midwest. P. Odumosu, Secretary to the Military Governor of West. S. Akenzwa, who later became the Oba of Benin, Erediawa, 1. He was then the Permanent Under Secretary, Federal Cabinet Office. The Aburi Accord is as follows. Members agreed that the legislative and executive authority of the federal military government should remain in the Supreme Military Council, to which any decision affecting the whole country shall be referred for determination, provided that where it is possible for a meeting to be held, the matter requiring determination must be referred to military governors for their comment and concurrence. 2. Specifically, the council agreed that appointments to senior ranks in the police, diplomatic and consular services, as well as appointments to superscale posts in the federal civil service and the equivalent posts in the statutory cooperation must be approved by the Supreme Military Council. 3. That the regional members felt that all the decrees passed since January 15, 1966, and which detracted from previous powers and positions of regional governments should be repealed if mutual confidence is to be restored. In response to the accord, the federal government promulgated Decree Number 8 of 1967, which was mainly an embodiment of the accord. Unfortunately, the accord finally broke down because of differences of interpretation on both sides. This breakdown ultimately led to the outbreak of the Nigeria Civil War, which lasted for 30 months and resulted to more than 1.5 million deaths, with property and infrastructural damage of over 15 billion pounds. Yes, because at that point in time, we were using the pounds. Yeah, the Nigerian pounds, which was more powerful than even the British pounds at that time. So if you want to get books, you want to read books on the Abure Accord, I will make one recommendation: the Abure Accord and its role in the Nigeria Civil War. That was written by Amma McLean Williams. You can look for that work and study it. The Abure Accord and its role in the Nigerian Civil War. It was written by Amma McLean Williams. Amma McLean Williams is a senior lecturer in the Department of History and International Studies at the Akwa Ibom State University. You can look for his work and study. There are other accounts that you can study. There are other accounts you can study as well. You can go online and look for these accounts. Look for books on Abure Accord. You can study them online, or go to your normal everyday today bookshop and look for them. Ask the bookkeepers. Ask them to get these books, or even if they don't have it right there, you tell them that you can come back. Some will even charge you beforehand, or tell you we are used to having skirmishes between Muslims and Christians, which was not even existed before now, but due to politics, we're just deceiving ourselves that we are fighting. Christians and Muslims are fighting. As a result of massive misunderstandings between Catholics and Protestants, the Irish Church War began, resulting in casualties on both sides. The Ulster Volunteer Force shot dead 6 Irish Catholic civilians in County Armagh, Northern Ireland. The next day, gunmen shot dead 10 Protestant civilians nearby in retaliation, which ultimately sparked off the 1976 Irish Church War. The killing of the Catholic civilians is also known as the Rive and Odod killings. The Ulster Volunteer Force, an Ulster loyalist paramilitary group, broke into their home and shot them. 3 members of the Rive family were shot at their home in Whitecross, and 4 members of the Odod family were shot at their home in Ballydorgan. 2 of the Rives and 3 of the Odods were killed outright, with the 3rd Rive victim dying of brain hemorrhage almost a month later. The shootings were part of a string of attacks on Catholics and Irish nationalists by the Glanning Gang, an alliance of loyalist militants, British soldiers, and Royal Ulster Constabulary police officers. Billy McCoffey, a police officer from the RUC Special Patrol Group, admitted taking part and accused another officer of being involved. His colleague, John Weir, said that those involved included a British soldier, 2 police officers, and an alleged police agent, Robin Jackal Jackson. The next day, gunmen shot dead 10 Ulster Protestant civilians in the Kingsmill massacre. This was claimed as retaliation for the Rive and Odod shootings. Kingsmill was the climax of a string of tit-for-tat killings in the area during the mid-1970s. In the retaliatory Kingsmill massacre, gunmen had stopped a minibus carrying 12 workmen, lined 11 of them alongside it, and shot them. Only 1 victim survived. He refused to die despite having been shot 18 times. The 12th man on the minibus was allowed to go. maybe possibly so I could go and tell the story. A group calling itself the South Ahmad Republican Action Force claimed responsibility. It said the shooting was in retaliation for a string of attacks on Catholic civilians in the area by loyalists, particularly the killing of 6 Catholics the night before. Following the massacre, the British government declared County Armagh to be a special emergency area, and hundreds of extra troops and police were deployed in that area. It also announced that the Special Air Service was being moved into South Armagh. This was the first time that the Special Air Service presence in Northern Ireland was officially acknowledged. So you heard that. The Irish Church War of 1976. So don't be today problem start. Problem don't do since. So you can call, you can still call. The number to call is 08064641536. Now let me just recommend some books for you to read about the 1976 Irish Church War. There's this book, Religious War in Northern Ireland by Gary Easthope. The book was written in 1976. Religious War in Northern Ireland. Please try and get that book. You can get it online. You can look for the book online. You can't get the hard copy, which might be difficult to get because some of these books are no longer in circulation, but you can definitely get them online. You can go and read that book. Then there's another one, Churches in Troubles. Churches in Troubles. Leaders, institutions, and political involvement. Yes, this work was put together by Nuket Sandal. Nuket Sandal put this work together. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
Yes, I'm Professor Samuel.
Oh, Professor Samuel, you're welcome to the show.
Happy New Year.
Same to you.
Good. I was in UK when the problem you mentioned started.
So you were in UK when the Irish Church War began?
Yes. Now, let me just give you another part of it.
Okay.
Northern Ireland is dealing with Southern Ireland. Unfortunately, Northern Ireland went to UK. That did not go down with Southern Ireland, which is predominantly Catholic.
Okay.
That is part of the problem they had, and it's going up till now. Southern Ireland cannot understand why Northern Ireland you go and join UK. So there were killings in Londonderry, killings in all parts of Northern Ireland, and fighter attacks. So if you need more information, I'm still alive, and still update you on most of the things that happened. I was there live.
Okay, I think we Professor Samuel, I think we have your number already, or are you going to give us your number now?
Yeah, this is my number.
Okay, can you call the number out, Professor?
Okay, 081.
Okay, we have it. No, okay, we have the number.
Yes.
We have it.
Okay.
Yeah, we have the number. Thank you very much, Professor.
Come here and see me.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks very much. We'll call you. Yeah, Professor Samuel just told us that he was in the UK when the Irish Church War began in 1976. And we'll be glad to have him in the studios any of these days to tell us his own version of what happened that led to the outbreak of war between Catholics and Protestants in 1970s in Northern Ireland. Then there's another book, The Catholic Church and Revolution in Ireland, by Admiral Felin. This book is written by Admin Felin. Now you can try and get this book too. Then let's look at another issue internationally. They tell us that we are not democratic, but an incumbent president of the United States of America, Donald John Trump, encouraged his supporters to topple a democratic process in Congress following his defeat in the 2020 presidential election. On 6 January 2021, though that encouragement he gave was on the 5th of January. But the next day, Americans stormed the United States Capitol building to disrupt certification of the 2020 presidential election, resulting in 4 deaths and evacuation of the U.S. Congress. The United States Capitol building in Washington, D.C. was attacked by a mob of supporters of President Donald Trump in an attempted self-coup 2 months after his defeat in the 2020 presidential election. They sought to keep him in power by preventing a joint session of Congress from counting the electoral college votes to formalize the victory of then President-elect Joe Biden. The attack was unsuccessful in preventing the certification of the election results. According to the bipartisan House Select Committee that investigated the incident, the attack was a combination of a plan by Trump to overturn the election results. Within 36 hours, 5 people died. One was shot by the Capitol Police. Another died of a drug overdose. And 3 died of natural causes, including a police officer who died of a stroke a day after being assaulted by rioters and collapsing at the Capitol. Many people were injured, including 174 police officers. 4 officers who responded to the attack died by suicide within 7 months. Damage caused by the attackers exceeded $2.7 million. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from? Hello, good morning. Okay, you can call again. The number to call is 08064641536. Call to action by Trump on the 5th and 6th of January. Thousands of his supporters had gathered in Washington, D.C. to support his false claims that the 2020 election had been stolen by emboldened radical left Democrats, and to demand that then Vice President Mike Pence and Congress reject Biden's victory. Starting at noon on 6th January. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, your name and where you're calling from?
I said, who am I talking to?
You're talking to the police. Starting at noon, January 6th, at a Save America rally on the Ellipse, Trump gave a speech in which he repeated false claims of election irregularities and said, if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore. As Congress began the electoral vote count, thousands of attendees, some armed, walked to the Capitol and hundreds breached police perimeters. Among the rioters were leaders of the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers militia groups. It is the only attempted coup d'etat directed towards the federal government in the history of the United States of America. The FBI estimates 2,000 to 2,500 people entered the Capitol building during the attack. Some participated in vandalism and looting, including in the offices of then House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and other Congress members. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
Good morning, man.
Yeah, good morning.
My name is Mazi Kurokrap. I'm calling from who will play the game today.
Yeah, Mazi.
Today is Monday, 6th of January, 6th. Compliment of 6th.
Yeah, thank you very much.
The island they are talking about today is the island. The Irish Street, 10 of them are in Nigeria, 10 of them are in Africa. That is why island today, this of St. Patrick is something that they don't play with. Because these are the people that bring all these buildings to just talk about. St. Patrick, he plays a very nice role in Ireland. So that is what. So every 17th of March is the feast of St. Patrick. So in Ireland, the Irish Street, Ireland, they don't play with that day of St. Patrick. So we thank God for the Ireland and Irish Street that have helped in Nigeria for evangelization in Catholic. We thank Biafra today. There are 2 million of you. Tell us the level of the people of living money.
Yes.
About the people want to know more about
Yes, we are going to do our best to recommend most of these books.
If you go back and read that, so many of them just sit and write what they see that way. But the man they acquired by this from that difference is what we call the kind of bridge between Aristotle and acquired from. That place was the top of war. The same thing applicable to when you go to an ambassador about Abagana.
Yes.
Abagana was the hottest place during the Biafra and the Nigerian Civil War. So people that want to know more about it, they should go back. There are books. If you go to our country, there are books that talking about the actual story.
Exactly. Exactly. That's true.
We thank God for history and just bringing them. But truth, for Nigerians to know the book and know the cause because of what brought about the Civil War in this country. After the Civil War, is no longer the same. That is why we have stability, because we don't treat them. Good morning.
Thank you, Mazi. Thanks a lot, Mazi, for your contribution. Mazi has said something very important. You go to Rampam Street, truly, you get a lot of these books at the bookshops. You can go out of your own volition. You mustn't be told to go to do so. Get these books and read them. They are there. It's important to know your history, know where you are coming from. But the truth remains that if you want to look at an analysis, someone was saying on social media that what is happening today, that what was happening in the past, that we're far better in the past. But that's not true. If you look at the retinue of issues that happened between 1960 and 1966, it's not something anybody should pray for. These are not happenings we should pray for. 1960, between 1960 to 1966, this period remained the deadliest period in Nigeria's history. £1 billion. Want to that? No. Want to that? No. We don't want to come to that anymore. So there is nothing to that. No. We don't want to come to that anymore. So there is nothing that is as important as peace, whether you like it or not. And for us allowing politicians to use religion to divide us, let us know that we are one. We are one. Nobody should use religion to divide until we begin to say ourselves first as Nigerians. I don't think we'll appreciate ourselves. I don't think we'll appreciate our journey. Let's look at ourselves first as Nigerians before any religion. If you're a Muslim today and your son wants to be a Christian, let me tell you the law of the land. Protect your son. You can't force your son to be a Muslim because you're a Muslim. And if you're a Christian, your son says he wants to be Muslim, you cannot force your son. If he's 18 years and above, he has the right to choose what he wants to do for himself. So let's keep religion aside and respect ourselves as Nigerians. Let's pursue humanity. So that's the truth. So all these books are there, and I'm going to recommend as much as we can. So Capitol Police, as I was saying, evacuated and locked down both chambers of Congress and several buildings in the complex. We are very sorry, we will not be able to take any more calls for today. Rioters occupied the empty Senate chamber while federal law enforcement officers defended the evacuated House floor. Pipe bombs were found at the Democratic National Committee and Republican National Committee headquarters, and Molotov cocktails were discovered in a vehicle near the Capitol building. Trump resisted sending the National Guard to quell the mob. That afternoon, in a Twitter video, he restated false claims about the election and told his supporters to go home in peace. The Capitol was cleared of rioters by mid-evening, and the electoral vote count was resumed and completed by the morning of January 7th, concluding with Pence declaring the final electoral vote count in favor of President-elect Joe Biden. Pressured by his cabinet, the threat of removal and resignations, Trump conceded to an orderly transition of power in a televised statement. A week after the attack, the House of Representatives impeached Donald Trump for inciting the insurrection, making him the only U.S. president to be impeached twice. After Trump had left office, the Senate voted 57 to 43 in favor of conviction, but fell short of the required two-thirds majority, resulting in his acquittal. Senate Republicans blocked a bill to create bipartisan independent commission to investigate the attack. So the House instead approved a select investigation committee. They held public hearings, voted to subpoena Trump, and recommended that the Department of Justice prosecute him. Following a special counsel investigation, Trump was indicted on 4 charges, all dismissed following his re-election to the presidency. Trump and elected Republican officials have promoted a revisionist history of the event by downplaying the severity of the violence, spreading conspiracy theories, and portraying those charged with crimes as hostages and martyrs. Of the 1,424 people then charged with federal crimes relating to the event, 1,010 pled guilty and 1,060 were sentenced, 64% of them to jail time. Some participants were linked to far-right extremist groups or conspiratorial movements. including the Oath Keepers, Proud Boys, and 3 percenters, some of whom were convicted of seditious conspiracy. Enrique Tarot, then chairman of the Proud Boys, received the longest sentence, a 22-year prison term. On January 20th, 2025, upon taking office, Trump granted clemency to all January 6 rioters, including those convicted of violent offenses. The background of the entire issues is that Joe Biden of the Democratic Party had defeated incumbent Republican Party President Donald Trump in the 2020 presidential election. President Trump and other Republicans attempted to overturn the election, falsely claiming widespread voter fraud. And this is the same man today that is going all over the world preaching democracy, changing government in countries that he feels or he felt did not respect democracy. Well, I'm not saying anything. I'm just only saying the obvious. So it's left for you to be the judge. Thank you very much for being part of the show today, the very first for January. We do hope you enjoyed the package. And if you did, always ensure that you also join us on social media, on Facebook, and also History Desk TV on Facebook, on Instagram, on X. History Desk TV. You could always follow us there and make your contributions. The program will continue tomorrow with other issues. January is very interesting. A lot of interesting stories to talk about. And some of these issues, we'll still talk about them tomorrow. And we'll also talk about new issues tomorrow. Today, the 5th of January 1957, the Hamilton Watch Company introduced the first electric watch. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Also, the Ford Motor Company introduced 8-hour work period per day. We'll talk about that too and tell you how the world revolved. My name is Mbum Ferdinand. I really do want to thank you for being part of the show. For sponsorship drive, you could call 08032851135. Call Ayuba on 08032851135. Thank you very much for being part of the show. Tomorrow we'll be here to do business again together. And thank you, Smokey, for being there with us on the console. The station is Reading 93.7 FM. But as I told you, you can also join us on social media. Thank you. We are out. I'm really under the weather.